I was introduced to Joe Biden by Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. At my approximately hour-long meeting with Joe that night, we discussed the Biden's history, the Biden's family business plans with the Chinese, with which he was plainly familiar, at least at a high level. On numerous occasions, it was made clear to me that Joe Biden's involvement was not to be mentioned in writing, but only face-to-face.
Tony Bobulinski, an American hero. He knows firsthand about what these Bidens were up to. It was shady. It was weird. He was in the middle of it all and then got out. Good for him. His story holds up, so they're doing everything they can to attack him. He's told this story to the American people. The media didn't listen. He told it to the FBI. They buried it. Another shot today at the House Oversight Committee. He went in. He swore an oath to tell the truth, and I believe him.
If there's no evidence of corruption here today, if Joe's conduct and the conduct of his family were fully legal and proper, then why are they so dishonest about it?
They have gotten busted in an awful lot of lies. He told, well, we've heard it before, and that doesn't mean it's less important. The New York Times, the Washington Post, they still kind of, sadly, more or less control the culture. And if they don't recognize this as news or they try to debunk it, did it really happen? It did. It absolutely did. But it makes less of an impact. We can't let that discourage us. This is powerful. Next.
We keep hearing from certain corners that our democracy is at risk and democracy is on the ballot in 24. Yet the same people preaching this mantra know better. They continue to lie directly to the American people without hesitation and remorse. Rep. Dan Goldman and Jamie Raskin, both lawyers, and Mr. Goldman, a former prosecutor with the SDNY from New York, will continue to lie today in this hearing and then go straight to the media to tell more lies.
He's got you there, Raskin and Goldman. They do so much spinning for the Bidens, always ignoring the truth. They were, wow, well, they were called out, and it was pretty cool, and it got even more interesting.
10% held by H for the big guy, question mark. You remember that, right?
The infamous email with the big guy? Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Did anyone ever respond to that email?
Yes, they did, numerous times.
Sorry.
Hunter Biden himself did.
Excuse me. You're right.
Well, no, I think that's important because
Sir,
Hunter Biden has claimed that he didn't respond to it, and he responded to it.
You're just going to filibuster. I reclaim my time that's running out, but I will say no one responded to the big guy reference for 10.
Thank you for making my point. They didn't have to respond because they all knew the big guy was Joe Biden.
I reclaim my time. Mr. Chairman, please control the witness.
Made them very uncomfortable, especially AOC. Whew.
Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business deal.
Did you witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir? Specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption statutes.
Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the crime?
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged
You have charges.
A long 100
You have charges. Sir, please
want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 18
All right, sir. I reclaim my
lawyers
time.
that went to law school.
I reclaim my time.
You guys
okay,
to
thank
define
you,
the
sir. I
statute.
reclaim my time.
She really looks like she's in 8th grade. RICO is not a crime. Anyway, she's good for amusement purposes. Who wasn't there? Hunter Biden. Hunter, remember, he was actually invited to testify today. He didn't want to sit next to Tony Bobulinski, so he didn't show up. How about that? The man who was demanding, remember a few months back, in front of Capitol Hill, he demanded a public hearing.
Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. What are they afraid of? I'm here. I'm ready.
Hunter, are you ready to go across the
What is Hunter Biden afraid of? Tony Bobulinski, look, the case kind of gets a little bit complicated, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Russia collusion, those fake allegations were kind of complicated. But let's go through some of what we know. A $250,000 wire from China to Joe Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. Joe Biden was the beneficiary addressee, not the prime. He was like the alternate addressee. Hunter was all the way in California when this was sent to Joe Biden's house. It's totally crazy. The money's coming in from China. Meanwhile, they got secret documents in the garage right behind the Corvette. Who's hanging out at the house when he's not in California? Hunter Biden. And who is he doing business with? Can't do business in America, going to Ukraine, Russia, China. It all stinks. And the WhatsApp messages, don't forget these things. This is new. He wrote to Tony Bobulinski this, and Tony, that is what Zhang implied. They are both coming to be my partner. These big Chinese guys want to be partners with the Bidens. He has implied that the number one has made that clear and available to him. The number one. Who's the number one? Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to know who the number one was. Check this out.
The Chinese want to do business with the Bidens. As a matter of fact, it says, both coming to be my partner, to be partners with the Bidens, with an S. He, Zhang, has implied that the number one has made it clear and available to him. Who is the number one?
The number one is Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping, the president of China? Yes or no? The leader of the Communist Party, the CCP?
Yes.
Is the number one?
Yes, that's the number one that Hunter was referencing in that message.
Is that why Joe Biden spent all that time with Xi Jinping, carving out business opportunities for himself? Remember how much he bragged about spending time with Xi Jinping? Well, was it for America's interests or the Biden's interests? You do remember this, right?
I've spent more time with Xi Jinping in China than any world leader has. When I was vice president all the way through to now, over 78 hours with him alone, 9 of those hours on the phone and the others in person, traveling 17,000 miles with him around the world. I spent more time with Xi Jinping than any other head of state. And I'd always be, when I traveled with him 17,000 miles, spent 78 hours with him, they tell me. I spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has. Over 76 hours, we traveled 17,000 miles.
You remember that. It never really made sense. Now it makes a lot of sense. All that money from China, all the opportunities for, I'm sorry, but the drug addict Hunter Biden, why would they want to do anything with these guys? Hey, I know this story and so do you. It was in the laptop. Granted, the laptop has been chased off of social media right at the time people needed to know all about it in the fall of 2020. How did Joe get all of this money? How is it that the Bidens, after 50 years in government service, got all of this stuff? I think we know. Next, please. We have to thank President Trump. You know, last night I did extended coverage of General Milley and the stuff that he said on Capitol Hill yesterday, and Donald Trump put it up on Truth Social. Not only what happened on Capitol Hill, but what happened with that soldier at Fort Myer. Did you see it? I encourage people to go on Truth Social or Newsmax.com to see that report. But I'm not done with General Milley. He used to wear a uniform. We remember, always on Capitol Hill, always self-righteous, always evasive. Now he's out of the Army, longer hair, civilian clothes. Watch how he covers his you-know-what. This is a bureaucratic game player. First, here he is telling the president, Joe Biden, that we need more troops. We cannot bring all the troops home. It was his idea to keep the troops in Afghanistan. Just ask him.
My analysis, based on my assessment and the recommendations of the commanders, to include General McKenzie, and the consensus of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was that we needed to maintain a minimum force of 2,500 troops on the ground, mostly special forces, with allied troops and contractors, in order to sustain the Afghan National Security Forces and its government until the diplomatic conditions of the Doha Agreement were met. Without this support, it was my view at the time that it was only a matter of when, not if, the Afghan government would collapse and the Taliban would take control.
Sounds really strong, right? Sounds really, yeah, we have to do this. I know these guys. That's not how they operate. When the boss wants something, the boss gets something. This guy probably did cover his you-know-what. At the same time, look, how's this for mixed messaging? You got to keep the troops there. What if we do keep the troops there? 10 minutes later, it's this.
There's little question in my mind that had the United States, that either president's agreement to withdraw, if we didn't withdraw 100%, then we would have been back at war with the Taliban. That's right.
All right. He speaks fast because he wants to obscure this, right? If we didn't withdraw 100%, we'd be back at war. All right. So his main point is don't withdraw. It's doublespeak. It's double talk. And that's what he does. Remember, this is the guy, Donald Trump goes to the church, remember, with the Bible, and everybody says this is somehow the worst moment in the world. And his military advisor, his chief military advisor, who's 20 feet behind him and then takes a left turn and goes home, apologizes for being with him that day. Remember, his job is advising the president on military affairs. He's with the president on a workday at 2 in the afternoon. The swamp demands he apologizes or distances himself from the president, and he does?
As many of you saw, the result of the photograph of me at Lafayette Square last week, that sparked a national debate about the role of the military in civil society. I should not have been there. My presence in that moment and in that environment created a perception of the military involved in domestic politics.
Did it create a horrible perception of the military involved in domestic politics? Did it really? I don't think anybody would have noticed. You are the one who made such a big deal. So he apologizes for bringing the military into domestic politics. And then he goes into domestic politics. Right after apologizing for that, he does that.
I am outraged by the senseless and brutal killing of George Floyd. What we are seeing is the long shadow of our original sin in Jamestown 401 years ago. We are still struggling with racism, and we have much work to do. Unspoken and unconscious bias have no place in America, and they have no place in our armed forces. And we should all be proud that the vast majority of protests have been peaceful. We must ensure fairness and equity at all key gateway selection boards, including promotion, command, and war call. Be inclusive. Make a commitment to seek out and surround yourself with those who don't look like you.
Yeah, that's what the military is all about, right? Forget the uniform, forget coming together from many one. Just seek out people based on race. That's highly political and highly partisan, but I saw something else that is perhaps worse than anything we've seen so far. And that's it. I didn't notice it until fairly recently. Take a look.
All of us in uniform are willing to die for that idea, the idea that is America. And so we must also be willing to live for that idea, for freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peacefully assemble, and freedom to vote, and freedom to believe as you wish in your religion. These are essential freedoms that are the cornerstone of our country. Americans have spilled their blood to protect them in the past, and they continue to be worth fighting for. This we will defend.
There's something about that is wrong, folks. I know it sounds fine, right? Yeah, we're gonna fight for democracy. This we will defend. This we will defend. Now, before, he kind of makes it sound like it's his decision. This we will defend. Does not work that way in our constitutional system here, does it? The Army doesn't make those decisions, but he's almost like he does. Now, I looked it up. Where did this come from? It is an Army saying. It's been around since 1778, yet they're still saying it. You know, they got rid of duty honor country at West Point, but this thing still remains. Anything about 1778 that strikes anybody? Well, It's about a decade before the Constitution was ratified.